We talked a few years ago at the Final Four ahead of your Hall of Fame induction, and you said at that point you always thought, Grant, of yourself as a Piston. That was what came to mind as you look back at your career. As Cade Cunningham now takes over as the new face of the franchise, everyone can't help themselves but compare him to you. What does it mean that you are still such a big part of this Pistons franchise as they take the next step in their planning of what they're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's flattering, I guess. I mean, Cade is an incredible young man. I'm a fan of his game. I've watched him play a lot when he was at Mount Verde Academy in Florida. Got a chance to get to know him there, and just has a great skill set. Does a lot of things very well on the court, but also his leadership, his maturity, his emotional maturity. So there's a lot of pressure, particularly with a franchise like Detroit, with all the success and the expectations that come with being a high pick. But I think he has what it takes, I think, to be successful. And so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun to watch him, but also this team. There's some other really talented young players. Jeremy Grant, who had a breakout year last year. So there's an expectation and I think a belief that the team will take a step this year, a step towards getting better, progressing, and that's a good thing. And I think it's something that the fans in Detroit will get behind and rally and support. So Cade will be fun to watch, but this team in general, I think will be a lot of fun as well.
He spoke a little bit at Media Day about the relationship the two of you have. You said just now, I mean, you watched him growing up, but how close have you gotten over the years and how much have you talked?
Yeah, so I mean, Cade is the age of my daughter, and so it's makes me feel old. But I watched him play, got a chance to get to know him when he was in high school, and then watched him from afar this past year when he was at Oklahoma State, and then just kind of leading up to the draft, just wishing him well. And within the last month, I've run into him a few times. Saw him at the Hall of Fame enshrinement when Ben Wallace went in to the Hall of Fame. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Detroit, went by the practice facility, met with the coach, Dwayne Casey, Troy Weaver, and talked to the entire team. So I had a chance to talk with him there. And so, he's okay. I mean, he's going to be fine. He's got they have a lot of resources around him to give him every opportunity to be successful. But, he knows he's got a fan and someone here who supports him. And, like you said, I'm a Piston. I play for the Pistons and certainly want to see him do well and see his team do well, except when they play the Hawks.
You were in Detroit recently for just the latest step in your amazing give back. Do you want to speak a little bit to the donation you made, the efforts you're making, and the specifics of why you made the effort that you did in Detroit?
Yeah, long story short, years ago, before I even signed my contract with the Pistons, I, was signed already with FILA. And the first thing we did, the first gesture was, we renovated some courts, refurbished some basketball courts in Detroit. And so now as I'm, back with FILA and working with them, and surprisingly, people still like, shoes from the 90s. And so one of the things that was important to me was to go back and do the same thing and do more. I think Detroit has been through a lot. As a city, its resiliency is incredible. There's a lot of activity and progress downtown, but some of the surrounding communities sometimes get lost in the shuffle. And so to be able to go and do this was something that I really enjoyed, and I look forward to doing more.
Things from the 90s are not to make you feel old, but I grew up watching you, and people think of the 90s as this kind of old school thing. Let's bring it back, and the 90s are retro. The teal jerseys, how much would you love to see the Pistons wear those every few games, maybe as an alternate uniform now going forward?
I mean,
you can say no too.
No, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'll just say teal seems to be more in vogue now than maybe it was back then. So go figure. But no, I mean, who knows? Maybe that'll happen someday. It'll be interesting.
Did you like wearing those uniforms? I guess I should have asked you that first.
Pardon me?
Did you like wearing those uniforms in the day? Or I guess I should have asked you that question first.
I enjoyed being a Detroit Piston. I did like the red, white, and blue, though. So that was what but hey, you gotta go with what you go with. But, it's interesting. Now I think with the young generation, it's more popular for sure.
we're talking to you today because of a cause near and dear to your heart, and you're really stepping up to the plate here and spreading a really strong message. Why is it that you're taking time to talk to people from all across the country to spread this message today?
Yeah, well, it's about prostate cancer. And, prostate cancer, disproportionately affects the African-American community. And, African-American men are 2 times more likely to be diagnosed with it, 2.5 times more likely to die from prostate cancer. So these numbers are just staggering. And yes, the African-American community, it's a crisis, but it's a crisis for all men of a certain age. And so to be able to shed light on this, to educate, to inform, to do our part collectively to bring that down. I know, Detroit has a very diverse population. It's a lot of ethnicities. A lot of people are impacted in Detroit as a result of prostate cancer. So getting men to take ownership, going to the doctor, getting, making sure that they get screened. If they are diagnosed, which when diagnosed early, it can be treated, finding out what those treatment options are and what's available to you. All of that is important. Taking ownership, definitely advocating for your health, and just being proactive. That's what we're trying to implore people to do. And so, I'm grateful for a number of things. I'm grateful for my connection to Detroit. I'm grateful to be able to still be able to give back to the community in a number of different ways. And I'm grateful for my partnership with Dendreon Pharmaceuticals and be able to give back and to educate and inform and to get people to log in and access prescribing information at a great website, www.startstrong.us. But those are numbers, those are things that we can do to change the staggering numbers that exist with prostate cancer.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for doing everything that you do for the city and to try to stop prostate cancer from taking so many lives. I appreciate the time, man. See you soon in Detroit.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.